Alright, so in this video what we're going to do is quickly make a simple program, and then we're going to simulate it, and we're going to simulate the HMI we're going to make. We're just going to make a simple HMI. We're not going to do anything crazy, but I will go ahead and we're going to start a brand new one. So we'll call this, we'll just call this simple HMI. And we're going to create this real quick. So when we create it, we're going to start from scratch. So we're going to basically add the processor and then come back and add the HMI, and again with these devices. So we're going to first start up and go to open project view. With this said, you don't have any devices yet, so we're going to add our first device, and this first device is going to be our processor. So we're going to come up and choose our S7-1200. Currently I have several different models, but I'm going to go ahead and choose the it's the 1400 DC, and I currently have this version, but I'm going to make it under this version right here, because with the simulation it does not like to, it likes to be 4.0 or higher. So we're going to go ahead and make it under that. I'm not actually going to download this to the controller. I'm just going to go ahead and make this PLC. And what I want to actually show you too is a couple different things while we're here. If you want to know where to change the IP address and where to change a couple different things, even though we're not really going to be using it, you'll just come down into your properties, and you can see there's a couple different things in here. I want to go ahead and discuss this. Now if you do like come out of it and you want to look at it, you can just go to properties right here and it will pull up right here. So currently we have our project info. We're going to rename this. We'll just call this simple HMI and put a catalog number in there. You can upgrade firmware and stuff like that right here. If you have the firmware, checksums. Now here's where it gets interesting, right? So you got Profinet, the IP address. We currently do not have a subnet, but I'm going to go ahead and throw the subnet in there, which is the Profinet. And then set the IP address, I'm going to head and change that. I have a 192.168.1 network, so we're going to change that to, let's just call this 97, and that'll be my IP address for this simple control. So with this said, you get time synchronization. If you wanted to do that, you have modes, you have advanced, you have reads. We really don't want to get too far in the spectrum of this. One of the ones that I did want to actually talk about is cycle time. Cycle time means the processor will cycle throughout the process, and if it takes longer than this, the processor will stop. So keep in mind, if you have a large program, you might want to increase that. Just keep that in mind. I'm going to leave that as default just because I don't need it. And if you want clock information, you can merely just click that, and this is going to be the clock information for like first time scan. Clock information down here. Now we have that in here. We have our IP address set. We have everything done. I'm going to go ahead and make some simple code real quick. So we'll go down to programming blocks and we'll open this up. Now currently I don't have any tags in here. Obviously I just made the program. So what we're going to do is PLC tags, and we'll do default tag. So what I want is I'll do like X push button, and then we come in here, we can default that as a memory tag or a input. So if we wanted it an input or something like that, we drop down here, input, output is Q. We're going to use that as a memory tag. And then what we're going to do down here is we're going to have X lamp HMI. And then this will also be a memory tag, because we really don't care as far as, I mean, you can make that, tie it to an output. We can actually have this as, let's do that too. Let's do X lamp and I thought that was, there we go, finally capitalized. Sorry for that. and then we'll make this one an output. Come over here, throw that as an output, and we'll change the name of this because it's a big X on a little X. All that is. Okay, so now we have our default tags in here. So we can come over here and make some actual controls. We can come over here and drop this in here. And this would be very simple. Not going to be very elaborate whatsoever. What I'm going to do is use a drop down. Actually, this I want it up here. So we'll delete that. We don't want to insert anything. Come over here, use a drop down, and have another output right here. So this right here will be the first memory tag we have, and so we're going to use the push button, and this one will be the actual the regular lamp, which is an output, and this will be the HMI lamp right here. So we can go up here to make sure that all of this is correct. We go to tools. Let's see. Actually, we want to save network and give you simulation start. What we want to do though, before we do that, is come up here and make sure everything is what it's supposed to be. So we'll compile everything, make sure there's no errors, and I did see that coming because that network right there. We'll delete that, and then we'll compile again. Everything is good, so just make sure you have the availability to do that. So now we're going to go into our next section where we're going to go pick our HMI. We're going to do a basic panel. Let's just say this is a 7-inch display because I don't really have anything. And then we'll call this a basic right here, and we'll pick this one right here. So that's 16. This is the version we're running right now. And we're going to go ahead and make this, and then you're going to have a pop-up screen where you'll be able to like tie in your PLC and tie in your stuff. So first we want to pick our PLC. So pick that, and that's going to add your PLC communication in there, and then you'll click next. We don't want a header, we don't want a footer, we don't want anything like that. So if that's checked, we're just going to simply make a simple screen and not going to have anything in, and we're going to have that just like that. So then it's going to pop up, and we now can have like little controls and stuff like that we can add. So I'm going to add this little button right here, which is going to be our button, and then we're going to call this button, and then right click, go to properties, and in the properties for that you can come in here to actions, and we want to press, and then we'll have the press. We want to come over here and let's see, press would be, let's do a edit button, and we want to set the button while pressed, and then we got to give it a tag, and in that tag we'll go ahead and pick the tags that we made. So we enter default tags. We got tags right here because those default tags. So now we have default tags for HMI, and we have default tags for the actual PLC. We're going to call this the push button that we have, and we need to make sure we added that correctly. So sometimes you got to double click, and I failed to do so. So double click, that adds that push button. So then we'll come over here, and that's all we're going to do for the button itself. So now we want to have like a indicator right here, and what we'll do for that is we'll come over here and go to properties, and we'll do animation, and then we'll do display, new animation. We want to go to appearance. So double click and go to appearance, and in the appearance we're going to have the tags that we're going to influence, that's going to be influenced. This is the HMI tag. Okay, so what we want to do for the range is we want to have a 0 or a 1. The 0 is going to be just natural. The 1 is we're going to change color to green. So we'll change that color to like a green or something like that to indicate that it's working. So on a 0, it's going to be just a plain, plain color. And then for a 1, once this is pressed, then we'll go ahead and have it green. So with that, we'll go ahead and save project. And we want to go ahead and make sure that we can test all of this. So when we're testing, we're going to download to device. No, we want to actually start simulation. And this starts the root screen. We also want to start the up here with our processor. So we'll start our processor because we haven't actually started it, right? We haven't, so you got to do each one separately. And then so we have this started, but we don't have a project in here. There's no project. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to download, and this automatically pulls up. So we'll just say, because it automatically pulls up as that, we'll just call it that, and then we'll search for IP addresses and make sure we can download to it. Again, this is going to be simulation, so what we're going to do is just load it. And once we load this, and we'll make sure that it says simulation in here, we're not going to actually do anything right here. So we'll download to the device, and download to device. That's all good because it knows it's a simulation. This may take some time. It's not really going to take that much time. And as soon as that happens, we're going to have the ability to start. So if you want to action, we'll want to start the module. And so as soon as this downloads, you'll see this change over here, the simulation. And now that's started. So what we have is our code. We can look at our code. And what we'll do is we'll go to the monitor up here. And we'll make sure that our code is good. And we'll go over to our screen, which we made and we're simulating, and we'll push the button. And see, as you see, when we push the button, it cuts the light on that we just put on the HMI. So we're making sure that all this is good. And I can make this bigger too. But for the sake of what we're doing, you can see that all that works. So real quick, what we just did is we made sure that our processors, or we added a processor, we made sure we had some simple logic, we added in our default tags, we tied in we made a HMI, a blank HMI, nothing really, no headers, no footers, nothing like that, no alarms, and we simulated the actual HMI, and then we come back and simulated the actual processor and have everything wanted or working. So even right here, like I can come down here and set this to a 1, set that to a 1, and then if you look right here, you can see that and it just works, right? So this is just one way to make sure your code's working. This is one way to check your system. If you were to be making an HMI system and a actual code and the actual PLC at the same time. I know this is a very simple example, but this is what our building blocks from what we do. We often have to start on the simple stages to get to where we need to be with the more complex stuff. So with that said, I wanted to make a video just showing you how to do this real quick. I know it's about 15 minutes, so hopefully you learned a lot from the video. We'll see you guys on the next one.